Pasuk describes that we were guilty of not serving a Kodesh Baruch Hu Simcha. May Rov call that we because we had it so good, there was a lack of Simcha in our fulfilling of mitzvahs. Rabbeinu Bechai already brings here that one of Taryag mitzvahs is to fulfill all the mitzvahs b'simcha, which I would submit is the source, possibly the source, of the Chsam Sefer bringing that at the bar mitzvah of his son, the Ksav Sefer, brought in Parshas Vayechi in the Pirush of the Chsam Sefer, that the first mitzvah a bar mitzvah boy can fulfill is Simcha. I would think that what he is referring to is Rabbeinu Bechai. Rabbeinu Bechai is that since it's a mitzvah to do all the mitzvahs with Simcha, then in fact there's a sense of joy that we have to have at the fact that the Rebbeinu Shem gave us these keiches that we have. Rameh Simcha has another dimension that he adds. He brings the Gemara and Brachas, Nun Ches. Ben Zema says he gets up in the morning and he sees how many have been chosen their niche in the world to serve him, and he's happy. He compares himself to Adam Rishon after the Chet. Adam Rishon didn't have a mechanic, he didn't have a supermarket, he had to engage in learning all of the different crafts and trades in order to make it work, the world for him, the resources. As the Ksava Kabbalah points out, that man is created, pruvu umiluas ots. You have to complete the world, which has been left incomplete because the Rebbeinu Shem gave us the room. Miluas ots means to find the tools that will make it work for you. Unlike animals that don't need tools to make the world work for them, they're close to their needs and the fulfillment of their needs based on instinct immediately. Man has to create tools, and there's always the risk that is implied that the Ksava Kabbalah alludes to, and that we find in other sources, that the tools don't overtake us instead of us controlling the tools. V'kiv shura, you should control it, conquer it. But Rameh Simcha says, imagine then being born in a world where there had not been an Avram, a Yitzchak, a Yaakov, a Yosef, a Moshe Rabbeinu, Maimed Har Sinai, Nevi'im Rishonim, Nevi'im Achreinim, the Anshe Knesses Hagdela, Tanoim, Amoraim, Gaonim, Rishonim, Achreinim. Had this not all been, and we were born into such a world, how would we find the way ourselves? How would we know how to live? So if Ben Zoma is a glicklicher, he's happy, he's overjoyed that everybody has found their way and their trade and their place, then it follows, it's a kal v'chomer, ben beno shel kal v'chomer, that we have to be besimcha, that we have in fact found this already for us. Continues Rabbeinu Simcha. 'Simcha. 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 ' that you meet that is not besimcha doesn't have this fundamental core recognition. And if somebody has this recognition, he understands this truth, then ein dova ba'olam ha'nifsad v'ha'oiver hazeh, there's nothing in this passing ephemeral world that can move him, that can shake him, because he has been given the core reason for his existence, and he's capable then of doing what has to be done within the resources that are allotted to him. Coming back to the Chassam Sefer for a moment, the idea that ours is to reconcile stiras. I've mentioned this in another context, is that the Chazon Ish often said the challenge of the Jew is how to reconcile paradoxes, contradictions. His evidence was that a Novi has to be besimcha to be eligible for Ruach HaKodesh. As we see by David HaMelech, the harp had to play, the music, to get him into a state of simcha, to be the candidate to receive it, the Ruach HaKodesh. That means that Yirmiyahu Novi had to be besimcha when he authored Eicha. How you talking? Paradoxes. We suggested in the past that the source of this is the machlekes between the Beis Yosef and the Ramah. Beis Yosef says the bracha mafli lasais on the Asher Yotza. Awesome what the Rebbeinu Shem has created, this creature. What a complex, magnificent creature, this human being, this body. The Ramah says it's taking two discrete, separate realms of existence, a malach and a behema, and merging them together in one entity called Odom. It's that creation, then, that it's mafli lasais. Then according to the Ramah, man's job, his task, what he's been asked to do is how to reconcile the core, root stira of being human, of how to take this stira and reconcile it. Posek in Mishlei, Ma'or einayim yesamach lev. Get clarity. You see things that you didn't see before. Shmua teva tidashen otzam. And the good news makes somebody, gives somebody a sense of invigoration. Says the Metzudas, Ha'oros einayim bedova hamasupuk. When you're in doubt about something, yesamach lev, that ki ein, and you clarify it. You clarify your doubt. Ki ein ba'olam simcha ki hatoras hasveikas. There's no simcha in the world like hatoras hasveikas. The Ramah says it, that the Tshuvas HaRamah, that ain't simcha ki hatoras hasveikas. That there's no simcha like the hator of the sveikas. So perhaps we could understand that we'll right now going to beginning any day the Midas Harachamim, the Yud Gimel Midas. Gedele Chassidus, the Bnei Yisoscha, the Rizhina, have talked about the parallel between the Yud Gimel Midas of Rabbi Yishmael and the Yud Gimel Midas of Rachamim. The last of the Yud Gimel Midas of each seems to imply a contradiction. Shnei Ksuvim HaMakrishim, there's two psukim that contradict each other. Achi Yavor Kosav Shlishi, till the third pasuk comes, Rabbi Yishmael, and reconciles it. There's a contradiction, and needs reconciliation. Yud Gimel Midas, Naka Lo Yanaka. You will be cleansed, won't be cleansed. Chazal have to resolve it by saying that with tshuva or without tshuva. It's a prediction also how the Deirus will unfold. We're going to come to a point in Ikvasid Mashiach, in the Messianic era, where contradictions will abound. Rav Tzadok anticipates this, that the same neshamas that were so delinquent in earlier stages can come back, and they'll be full of stiras. That's a hallmark of our door. But that is in fact the marching orders for the Torah Jew. How to reconcile the stira, according to the Amor, between being ruchnius and gashmius, and it's that simcha is the simcha that we can achieve, that when we achieve that, when we attain to that reconciliation. And that's what Rameh Simcha is talking about. Somebody that has the simcha of realizing that he's been given the game plan of the universe. The Rebbeinu Shalom created Torah first and then the world from that blueprint. So that is the blueprint. That is the Tochnit Av. That's the master plan for this creation attaining to its peak, its climax, as we move towards Bias HaGoel. Ikvisid Mashiach. So many of the Simonim. The Maharal says that Shleimus brings to Simcha, Simcha brings to Shleimus. That the Jew who's been given the key to attain to Shleimus in his life on this planet, in this physical existence, then he has the opportunity to attain to a level of simcha. And that's what Rameh Simcha means, I believe, when he says that somebody that has this recognition, that he's been given this plan, and that it's a kal v'chomer ben benoshel kal v'chomer, that if Ben Zoma was besimcha, that the material world is put in place for him, then we that have the Torah, b'meseiros, b'edus, b'chush, that our neshamas were there at Sinai, then in fact, then we have the koyach to ivdu as Hashem b'simcha, even in the most challenging and trying times.
So one of the interesting questions, though, that we have to sum up what we've been saying is that till bar mitzvah, the child has is Yetzer Hora, only gets the Yetzer Tov at bar mitzvah. Of course, it seems that it's a different Yetzer Hora expresses itself as somebody matures, but this is what we're taught, is that basically the child thinks in terms of his needs and himself up to bar mitzvah, and only then there's a Yetzer Tov that enters into the picture. that in itself is a fascinating question. Why the Rebbeinu Shem creates us in that manner? And there's a built-in paradox there, is that Ein Ha'olam Miskayim Ela the Hevel PM Shel Tinoka Shel Beis Rabban, that there's a Kedusha and a Taira. It's on the Yetzer Hara. It seems part of the message there is that the Yetzer Hara is redeemable. It has in it the kernels, the energy to be turned around. But let's come to now the Bar Mitzvah moment. What the Chazam Sefer was saying is that it's the moment, the first mitzvah is Simcha. Perhaps then we find in this that up till Bar Mitzvah, it's Yetzer Hara. Now, a human being is created, we had said earlier, the Machlekes, the Beis Yosef and the Ramah, about the Mafli Lasais, that a human being, according to the Ramah, is created two separate, conflicting realms of existence, a Malach and a Behemoth. And all of our life is to resolve this contradiction. Thus, we could say that Yud Gimel, as we saw in the Bnei Yisoscha and the Rishona, that the Yud Gimel Midas of Rabbi Yishmael and the Yud Gimel Midas of Rachamim anticipate that in Ikvus de Mashiach there'll be a predominance in the environment of contradiction, of stira that must be resolved, not the seeming contradiction. Similarly, the Naka Lo Yanaka and the Yud Gimel Midas of Rachamim, with cleansing, not cleansing, with tshuva, without tshuva, chazal. So it's a projection that we're going to need a reconciliation of contradiction. Hein hadvorim, that is the ultimate simcha, as we saw earlier from the Tshuvas Haramah, that in Simcha Katoras HaSveikos, the simcha that a Jew has in resolving this, that is his mission statement. Uvechein, when the child at Yud Gimel, at 13 years old, gets the Yetzer Tov now to stand up against the Yetzer Hara and to turn it upside down, to relate it, perhaps that's alluded to in the Loshen and Chazal, hafochbo v'hafochbo ki kulobo, turn it over, turn it upside down, take that Yetzer Hara now and use it. V'rosi Yetzer Hara, v'rosi tablan, the tablan is limited. So then we would understand why at Yud Gimel we have the first mitzvah would be Simcha. Simcha is when you have that resolution. And therefore, the apex of Simcha will be in the moment of learning Torah, which gives us the program, the plan on how to resolve the essential stiras of being human. Chazak v'amatz, Yeshuas, Refuas for all of Klal Yisrael.